got it. We're live. We're live.
We are live.
Woo! Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. You sure you're ready for this? You sure you're ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I won't be
know that's
scared.
right. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. So, let me adjust this camera just a tiny bit, just to make sure we got everything good and right. Hold on. I just want this to be right for all our peeps. Okay. So that looks good. That looks good. Does it look good?
It's good to me.
Okay. So family, we got a delicious, delicious, delicious conversation for you today. Now, today is new moon. We're going into new moon in Leo. Mm-hmm. So tonight at about 2:30 in the morning, somewhere in the 2 a.m. hour, is going to be new moon in Leo. So we are all about the new moon. So this is the perfect day to do this. And I have on my sun moon, no, my star moon earrings. What do you have on?
Africa.
African moon?
Well, not moon. It's just
African.
the continent.
I love it.
Representing the continent.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So here's why we're having this conversation. And family, I would love to introduce to you Cheryl Miller, a Christian witch. And I've known Cheryl for years, and we're part of the same spiritual community, Intervisions Institute for Spiritual Development, Intervisions. And I was watching your live stream on Facebook.
Yes.
And I'm just watching, enjoying it, and I'm like, you start off saying, family, there's something I've got to tell you. There's something I've got to tell you. And I'm like, ooh, wonder what it is. And she said, I started not to even do this live stream today, yet Spirit wouldn't let me let it go. I've got to talk to you about this. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, what is this? And she said, I'm a Christian witch. I was like, plot twist. Never saw that one coming.
Yeah.
So please, so introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Cheryl Miller from Soul Sister Circle Retreats Worldwide.
Ooh, is that Reverend Tanya's community or
no? This is my brand.
Love it. Okay, yeah, Soul Sister Retreats Worldwide.
Soul Sister Circle Retreats.
Oh, Soul Sister Circle Retreats Worldwide.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So, pretty much, you want me to just go into it?
You grew up in the church.
Yes, I did.
Let's go to where it began.
Go way back.
Yeah, let's go way back when. Okay.
Well, let me just start with the whole Christian walk, the Christian experience, because before I went to college, my mom got the whole family, all the kids, and I was in the 12th grade at that time. We all got saved.
Oh, you got saved.
We got
in the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus.
She said, "Come on, y'all."
She got inspired. She started going to this church, and my mother used to be out there living her life. And then one day, she got touched, and we were all in church. And when the altar call came, she took us all up.
Oh, wait a minute. So before she gathered y'all up and said we saved, she herself had been in the church.
Not quite been in the church. She kind of started going, after the life she was living. She and a girlfriend used to hang out. They ended up going to this church they visited.
And she got the Holy Ghost.
She got the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, because when you go to church, you do get touched.
Yeah.
And we cannot deny that there is a move of spirit that happens to a lot of people in church.
And it did happen to her. And then she went a few other times, but then she brought us. And then that one Sunday.
That's when she brought all of y'all. So did she have the conversation with y'all first, and then she took y'all? No.
Okay.
Do
we have conversation? It's like,
this what y'all
gonna do.
That's right.
Okay, we all going down together.
This how it's gonna go. Okay.
And we didn't know, of course, but we were going to church. We were, we enjoyed it and all. And then when she decided, when they called, she was like, okay, come on. And everybody just went up. So that's how I got saved.
She said, come on. Everybody went to the front of the church. And you got saved in the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus.
Okay, continue.
And then afterwards, they had like a class. Once you're...
Did they give you a new Bible?
We didn't get any Bibles.
Oh, you didn't get any Bibles? Okay.
No, you have to get your own Bible.
Oh, you got to get your own Bible in that church. Some churches, they give you a Bible.
Oh yeah,
No, they didn't do that.
This was a Baptist church. Now I would say my family, her parents, we grew up. I mean, I was a Methodist.
Oh,
So
Methodist.
she was Methodist, but then this church was a Baptist church.
And they was rolling in the
Oh yeah, they
in
were.
the odds. They was getting it in, weren't they? Because you know how Baptist churches are. I love
Oh
Baptist
yeah,
churches.
they
be getting it in.
the music and everything. So that's how she got the Holy Ghost. And I also think it was because I'm getting ready to go to college, because this was what was ingrained in me before I left. So I'm getting ready to go to college. So we want to make sure that you stay
saved while you're in college.
So you're gonna get saved and you're gonna stay saved. So again, I went through the class.
Well, they didn't let me go to college, my fundamentalist family, because they said it was nothing but drugs and sex, and you're not doing that.
Yeah,
that's what they told us.
And they were right. I see, but then the thing is that when you so this is what pretty much they said. You know, I think this, in hindsight, that's the reason why. My mom, she was probably afraid that I might get introduced something. Yes, and she was a teenage mom, so she was really like, she was happy, but she was nervous at the same time for whatever probably reason they told her about what happens in college. But I was a good girl. I was a good girl.
Yeah, you know, good girls, we're afraid. We're afraid to do all that stuff, but we really do want to do it. So we sneak and do things, but then we have our limits. Like we go only so far. That's how
she scared me. She scared me.
And if you hold hands with a boy, you get pregnant.
Oh,
that's what they told me. Yeah. Yes. Did they tell you that too?
Well, it wasn't the thing my mother drilled in. Don't get pregnant. Now, didn't say what that looked like. All I knew is, honestly, for a long time, I was afraid to even get too close,
because they didn't tell you how you got pregnant.
All of,
they didn't tell you that.
I knew how like what the end result of pregnancy would be, but she did not give me the full whatever. It was just the fear, don't get pregnant, because she was a teenage mom. She said that to all the girls. Now the boys, my brother was a dad at 9th grade, right? So she didn't say nothing to him.
Oh, he was a dad in 9th grade?
9th grade.
Okay.
So she didn't have that conversation with him.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, I did get saved. I went to, the first year I joined the gospel choir, so they were happy because they kept me close, right?
That's right.
What they didn't know is the gospel choir was off the chain.
They like PKs. The
preacher's
kids was the worst ones in the whole church.
I'm telling you now. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna just. I haven't said this publicly, but I went to college a virgin, just naive and everything. That's because I didn't know. But when I got in that gospel choir, I was seeing some things. I was like, she worried about me. I'm right here in this choir.
I'm in the gospel choir, and she worried about college. It was happening right in church.
But she was comfortable because it was a gospel choir, and it was like keeping me.
It was like family.
Yes. Yeah. And that kept me close to God.
At least you're sexing people I know.
No, that was still a don't come home pregnant thing.
Don't come home pregnant. Yeah.
And so my experience there, but what I would say in terms of my magical powers, even in college, I didn't share this, just experiences I was having I always felt there was something guiding me. And this is before I knew about, I knew about God, but not God in the way I know God now. Yeah. I just felt like the way I got into college, I knew that I wanted to get away from home. My mom didn't have any money. And so it was like, I'm going to college. I pictured myself there. I ended up getting a scholarship. I did a visualization. I have to get, and then I got a full scholarship.
Look at that.
You know.
So even if they had said, we don't have the money for you to go to college, it's okay. I already got that taken care of.
There was no obstacles. And even the church gave me money for like room and board and all of that. So, and we were newly members there.
Oh, that was
so nice. It was working out, you know. Yeah. And then, so once I got to college and actually realized, okay, these people are just as wow. And I was there for a year. I did the gospel choir my freshman year, and then I did cheerleader the next year. And that's when she was worried because she thought, you know.
The cheerleaders were sleeping with the football players.
Yeah. Okay. Which it was the opposite. The cheerleaders, we were more, close to God, worshiping, doing stuff
Oh,
together,
really?
and staying out of trouble or whatever. If you want to think of college as getting in trouble, so I was more protected. My coach, she kept us praying and all of that.
Oh,
So
that's
the things that
nice.
the area that she thought I would be more susceptible
You were
to
not.
what's going on in the world, I was not.
Interesting.
You know,
But it was going on right in church.
right in church,
Okay.
right in the choir, right under,
Right in the choir.
So
Right
she
behind the pastor.
like we'd get up there and have our concert, and then they were just, it was going down. I didn't
Right
do
after
the-
the concert. Wait
It
a
was
minute,
going
still
down.
in church.
Not in church. No.
Oh,
Not in the church.
my land.
No, what I'm saying, like, we'll go to these churches, but
yes.
we traveled.
Y'all were traveling
We
around.
were traveling
No
around, and then
wonder.
we stayed in hotels and all.
There you
And
have
you know, the parties and the
There you have
alcohol
it.
and all of that
Oh,
came
yeah.
after the concert. So what I'm saying,
Oh.
I would have been exposed to what I need, but I didn't drink. I didn't try anything during that time. Now I ain't gonna say I didn't try anything later.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but I do remember experiences that I was having. I never shared with that, and this was since I was a child. I had a visitation as a child.
A visitation from who?
I think from.
It was a spirit. Yeah.
I said it was a witch because I watched Bewitched.
Yeah.
Right? And we used to watch it, and I used to see the witch on the broom. You know how that show starts with the witches on the broom. And then that night, one of the nights I watched the show, it was a visitation. It wasn't a physical person or anything, but I was in the room, and it was like the moon was full, and I was looking out the window, and then this spirit, whatever came into the room, I felt
a presence came into the room that you could recognize that a presence.
that it was there.
How old were you?
6.
6, and your powers are awakening, and your
Yes.
gifts are coming out.
Yeah.
And what did you do with were you afraid?
I was initially.
You were
because
afraid, okay.
I was afraid because I didn't know what it was, but it didn't seem like it was gonna harm me. But what I did was welcomed it so that it wouldn't bring harm. Like, okay, you know, offering it water, so that I felt like
you knew to do offerings at 6. Because that's what we do with spirits. You do offerings.
Yeah.
So you knew to do offerings at 6.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
did.
a spirit is probably not going to randomly walk in your room and you do an offering. Yet in our walk as witches, we work with lots of spirits, and part of it is offerings. So that aspect was already naturally in you.
it was in me.
Wow.
So and it's so.
Hey, spirit, can
interesting.
I get you some water?
Right.
Was that how it was?
And look, because I was 6, we drank our water from the bathroom faucet.
Yeah, of course.
So I welcomed
They
them
didn't
into
think
the
of water
bathroom.
bottles until later on.
Right.
Yeah.
And went into the bathroom, and all I know is whatever happened after that, it left. But I was sitting in the bathroom toilet. I think whatever happened, if I woke up, I just was aware that I was standing in the toilet, crying. And
You
then my
were
mom,
feet inside the toilet.
yes.
Do you have recollection of how you got there? Or
I have no. After I offered, and I drank water, and I think that she drank water. It was yeah. And then before I know it, then she left, because it was like I wanted to make sure I felt safe and they felt safe, that they didn't have to harm me or
Good
anything.
interaction.
You know.
Right.
And
right.
so, and then she left, and then I woke up, and I'm in the bathroom, and I'm standing in the toilet, and I'm crying, and that's when my mother came into the bathroom. I don't even know if I told her or whatever at that time, but she got me up out, and I slept with her that night. But that, I remember that even till now.
That's a powerful visitation.
You know?
I used to have visitations when I was younger too. I didn't really know what to do with them.
Yeah.
You know? Did you ever used to have the night, hold on. Did you ever used to have the night paralysis, sleep paralysis?
Yes, I had that
I used to
in
have that
college.
a lot.
And I'll
Did you ever
make
have it
excuses.
when you were younger, or you didn't have it when you were younger?
Well, when I still have it. I have vivid dreams, like
Yes,
dreams.
very vivid
I didn't
dreams.
experience the sleep paralysis until I went away to college, and I was staying in this room, and I just attributed to I ate pizza, and I had this because I have vivid dreams.
Yeah.
It's like I can remember everything in the room as if I'm awake, like I left my body and I'm surfacing the room. Sometimes I actually go and fly or whatever. I just have those types of dreams. But this time, it was like, my body was, I couldn't move.
Right.
And I was yelling out. My roommate was in the room. And
could
no
you
sound.
speak? Was it actually sound coming out?
No sound was
Yeah,
coming
because
out.
I've never been able to have sound come out
Nope.
in those moments.
I was like calling out my roommate and
you
no
can't
sounds.
move, and you're aware.
I'm aware. I could see just like I'm looking in this room, I could see clearly everything in the room.
But you can't move, and you cannot interact in the third dimension. Yeah.
So I was nervous. I didn't know what that was, but now I know that we have the ability to leave our bodies.
Yes.
See, I didn't know that before.
Yes.
That was a scary moment for me too.
And a lot of times, one of the things that I think this is, because there have been a lot of offerings of what this could be, right? One of the things that I think it is that when your soul does leave your body, and it's going all around all the places that it goes.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get back to your body before you wake up, you're not animated. It's like you're breathing, yet you can't get up and go and do it.
Exactly.
So then it's making its way back. And so there's awareness there, but there's nothing else.
And sometimes I've experienced what you just said, that because I'm aware when I'm leaving, it's like what is that?
Lucid dreaming?
Lucid dreaming, but then you astral
plane. You're on the astral plane.
Astral plane, like I can leave my body and I can go all around the community and see. I'm flying.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm seeing different things. And then when I come back to my body and wake up, I remember that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
But how I did it or whatever. So I just figured those were vivid dreams. I just have, because I figured again. So I'm understanding and learning this. The more I learn more about the spiritual aspect of
life, which Kabbalists say that this physical dimension is 1% of all reality.
Yeah.
And what cannot be ascertained by the five senses is 99% of reality. So that's a lot of reality that cannot be ascertained with the five senses. And even now physics is proving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, physics is proving it.
So that experience in college, and then I've had multiple out of bodies experiences.
Okay. So now, at what point did you come to the absolute realization, I am a Christian witch?
Well, after I did my studies and understood the difference between what I learned from church and religion, and then the difference between religion and spirituality, just understanding, because I knew there was something like the way the word works, what we speak and all of that, I knew that was working. But there was an aspect that it was like, that wasn't resonating with me. And so my soul started to seek for more information.
Okay.
And that's
how long were you in the church?
Well, I'll put it like this. That particular church I was in, after I left from college, I changed churches and went to other churches.
Okay.
But I've gone to different, I stayed in the church, and I would say partly I'm still claiming one church, even though I haven't been. But I claim spiritual, just the whole experience is not, I'm not a part of the religion. I go to all churches and I visit all. So I would say at that moment when I was practicing as a Methodist, because that's what I ended up choosing back for myself.
Oh, after the Baptist experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I made the choice to join a church and practice, their doctrine and all. It was after I got out of college.
Okay.
Because the church that I grew up in, they were preaching that, don't do this, don't do that. And like you said, the PK, they were off the chain too.
Yeah, the PKs.
So we were good kids.
They're usually always off the chain.
Off the chain.
Because the suppression is so much.
Is.
And that suppression is bad. And what it made us do was just sneak around and do whatever we wanted to
Exactly.
do. That's
Just
what it made us
hide
do.
it.
Yeah.
You know, and
It
that's
made
what
it
I
go
did.
underground. Like whatever. It's just like right now, I'm convinced that if people read about this segment of humanity
Yeah.
that has outlawed marijuana and made it a Title I drug, I am certain that 200 years from now, they'll look back at us and say, oh, those poor humans, they couldn't smoke weed, whereas everybody's smoking weed. Even though on the law books,
Right.
it says don't smoke weed.
Right.
So what happened? Because they suppressed it, it just went underground. People didn't stop doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're gonna do
They're gonna do whatever
when
they
you
wanna
say
do.
not to do it,
They're
then
gonna do
that's
it
gonna
even
be
Yeah.
the
yeah.
drive to do it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I would, to answer your question about just the coming out,
Yeah.
so I am now a part of a metaphysics community because I'm still a part of all. I just don't just stay locked in one now.
Right.
I just open myself to all of it. And I was coming into like sharing just with the community that I'm a Christian witch, but I was just gonna share it in
Just
a
in the
contained
community, just right there.
because I'm still, you know, like I still enjoy, you know, the church and every
I do too.
aspects,
I've
you
never
know, I
met a
still
church I
enjoy-
didn't enjoy.
Yes,
We
you
were
know.
just in Rome on our retreats that we do all over the world.
Mhm.
And we were in Rome and we went to the Vatican.
Yeah.
And the churches in Rome, oh my God, they'll bring tears to your eyes. There's some
Really?
beautiful art and the flowers and the mother, you know. Our
Did you go to a
Blessed
service?
Mother. We did not go to a service. There were some experiences going on inside there.
Okay.
Yeah, wow, different places that you
Okay.
could go. They would be doing prayer, or there was a
Yeah.
priest there, or there was a mass going on, or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. And so I love it. I love churches.
I love churches
Yeah,
too.
I do too.
I still, and then they call me though the type, because sometimes I can go in one and
It's
I
not
can't, yeah.
the spirit.
If it's too constrictive, if it's too like do this, do that, but if you don't do this, God don't love you. Now that I can't do, because I
Right.
can't do that anymore.
And
But,
really, the building, why is the church so palpable with spiritual energy? Well, the angels are hanging out there all the time. And whether the church is teaching something good or bad or not good or whatever, there's still people in there having these spiritual
Yes.
experiences. So the spiritual energy
Is
is
there.
Yeah.
It's there.
So,
It's
yeah,
there.
I get that.
So, and then when it is high and when it's there, they like it.
Oh,
'cause
they
it gets
love
you
it.
ready and all.
And
so
when
you'll
the
do
choir
anything.
is going and
Oh, yeah.
and the music
So the
is
whole
going,
thing that brings the spirit. That's what I'm saying. That's why I love that.
Yes.
And then it'll, after you get all this
In the
it-
spirit.
and now we got you. Do this, do that.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you don't
You
do
can't
this,
do that,
it's
you
like
can't
you
do
give.
that,
If
da,
you
da,
don't,
da, da.
if you're not giving or
How
talk
about if we
something.
could have church where they just get in the spirit and then don't talk?
And then don't talk.
Yeah, don't talk. We don't need all the
You
talk.
know?
We don't need none of that. We need none of
And
the
then just
doctrine.
let it flow.
None
now
of the
they do
dogma.
that, and then sometimes they
The
stop it
Quakers
when it
do-
goes. Oh, do
the
that?
Quakers do that.
Really?
Yeah, the Quakers, that's where they got the name Quakers, because their practice is they come to a room, they sit around, and they just be still,
Yeah.
waiting for the spirit to hit, and the spirit's gonna hit somebody, and then that's why they
And
got
then
the name
everybody
Quakers.
gets
Yes.
And then they just let it run.
Let
its
the spirit
course.
go, just like they did in the upper room in Acts when they were talking
Yeah.
about the upper room,
Yeah.
and the flame came across above each person's head, like the Holy Spirit looking like a flame. You know, is that an igniting of the crown chakra,
Right.
perhaps, right? Because it said literally a flame, didn't it say
Yeah,
over
it
your
did.
head, over each person's head, in the place?
I never really even thought, just that part you just brought to my awareness of the experience. Because my mom used to always get into the spirit. I used to
Oh
watch
yes,
it.
and when people get into the spirit, it's
I
beautiful.
wonder-
Some people, it seems like they're more
I-
susceptible and open and willing for spirit to just
Yeah.
come in and take over.
Yeah.
And that's really beautiful.
It is.
Because they don't have all their defenses up. There are a lot of people that have their defenses up. They don't want to look not put
Right.
together. They want to be together.
I'm gonna admit, I used to be scared. I was like,
No, I don't want to look crazy. I don't want to look crazy in here. You look crazy trying not to be crazy. You already defeated the purpose, but yeah.
But individuals did that for me. Their Sunday service.
Sunday service, baby.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
that was the different way I experienced worship and church and all of that. So.
Because you can just get into music and get into the devotion and into spirit, and you're there.
Yeah.
You're there.
And you do it the way that it works for you.
Like you.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Now,
personal.
It's not orchestrated because the church is like clap your hands, talk to your neighbor,
First do this.
Yeah, it's
Turn
all
to this
these
neighbor.
instructions.
Turn to that neighbor.
And you can't really
Pick up
just,
your Bible. 1 Corinthians.
Yeah, it's
Da-da-da.
everything is just
Da-da-da.
so it's not free flowing and all. So I enjoy that. I just thinking about it now, you know.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Were you singing in the choir?
I didn't sing in the choir at the church I joined because those folks can sing, but I just I was
When you were in the Baptist choir, you were singing?
Yeah, I did sing in the choir.
In the
we
Baptist.
Yeah.
And what were you singing? Were you an alto? Were you a soloist?
Alto.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And
I know that choir used to bring it, didn't it?
Oh yeah, and we thought we were doing it, and now the college choir. Oh
they
my
were
goodness,
killing it.
We would everybody in the and still
Would
to
be
this day.
slain
My
in
mother
the
used
spirit.
to come from Virginia, and just to watch us wherever we go, people would come and watch us.
Wow.
And that was a wonderful
That's
experience for me
beautiful.
too. You know.
Yeah.
It did keep me active and kept me focused on my studies and everything like that. But I wasn't interested in all the wow stuff that they thought I was going to be interested in and everything, you know?
Probably because your spirit man or your spirit woman, like they talk about in church, your spirit person was getting stronger and stronger. And your spirit man, how they call it in church, right? Your spirit man. When your spirit man awakens, we'll just call it a man.
Yeah.
We're not talking about gender.
Right,
We're just talking about the expression. When that aspect of you awakens, it's not interested in the carnal.
Yeah.
It's not interested in food and sex and partying and this and that. It's not interested in that. And it's certainly not satisfied by that.
No.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I felt so free. That's when I knew there was something. You know, there was a presence. Like it reminded me of that. There's a presence in me.
There's a
I don't know
presence.
what that is.
And it's
in
right
me.
here.
Yes.
It's not way up there with some dude in the sky with a long white beard.
No.
Yeah. This conversation that we're having is so powerful because it illustrates why I always say to the Christian witches that are around me or to any Christian witches or anyone who's had a Christian background and now they remember their witchy self or their witchy self woke up and they had both going on, that you don't have to leave everything that you got on the spiritual path from the church. You don't have to leave all of that. You don't have to leave the Bible. You don't have to leave the choir, because I think people think it's an either or proposition.
Yeah. And I think the reason why is because when you come from the Christian background, they say it's either God or nothing.
That's right.
So if you
That's
begin to
say.
explore the magic in you, then that's what the church tells you. You can't have both.
That's what they tell
You
you.
can't serve two gods. You know, as if that's serving two gods. You can't serve the God within you and the God outside of you. So you serve the God. And therefore you feel as though if you leave, you abandon
God.
Yes.
Not just I'm choosing a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heresy comes from a Greek word that actually means choice. That's what heresy means. Well, when you hear the word heretic, it's a horrible word to some people, right? Because you would get killed for being a heretic because you're branded a person who actually wants to take down the church of God on earth.
Yeah, exactly. You're challenging God.
Where you just made a choice. That's all you did. You made a choice. And didn't it say that God gave us the God-given right to choose?
Yeah.
So why would you have the right to choose if you can't choose? Why is it two things that you get to choose from, but then if you pick the one, you're going to be damned to hell forever, and you pick the other one, you're going to heaven? Is this a trickster God? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Like you have a choice, and then when you make that choice, you didn't choose
damned. You didn't choose right. Door A, door B.
So then it's like, well, which one?
What you want me to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
So
why.
I think some
yeah.
of that, because again, I waited, I just did it in hiding. I went like people go into the car, hide. You still gonna do what your
wanna do.
soul wants you to do,
Absolutely.
regardless.
You're going to do
You're
it.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
And then, but it doesn't feel good to, kind of hide unless you get in a community with people who
Who
you
are
get
like-minded and they
then it
feed
feels
you.
good.
Yeah.
But now you want to really just
Live your whole life like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
without all of the restrictions and rules and stuff. Not that there are spiritual laws, principles, rules.
Of course.
That's in play.
There's
but
laws of the universe. There's even laws of magic.
Exactly.
Right.
We have to.
It's not
follow.
a free-for-all.
Right.
Yeah, you do get to choose.
Yeah. So and it's when you understand that, then it's easier. It's like you're trying. Well, I was trying to follow all of these rules, and it just felt like I was not making the mark there.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that wasn't God. It's like, how can God love me and hate me at the same
time? This is this is a schizophrenic
God.
God. This is a bipolar
on
God.
here?
I can't understand it.
But
and you're never going to measure up.
Never.
It doesn't matter.
You gotta
how
keep
good
on coming
you
back.
Are. Yes.
To redeem whatever
because you're sinful. Because according to the Christian story, you're starting off black and tarred.
Yeah.
You're tarnished. And when I say black, I don't mean black as in black people.
Yeah.
I mean that you're marked. You're, right.
Mm-hmm.
You are sinful. You are born in sin. And you can't ever get out of it. And you need a savior to help you to even redeem your little wretched life.
Gosh. Because you're
wow.
filthy rags. That part right there.
Wow.
I said, why do I have to be a filthy rag?
Right. What is that?
I imagine a filthy rag. And like, this is how God see me. But God says, through him, I'm this. But I have to first be this filthy rag.
No.
I'm like, come on.
That does not resonate as truth to me.
Yeah.
That does not resonate as truth. And then once you begin to do research, and once you begin to delve deeply into the origins of Christianity and where the Bible really came from, this compilation of books, you start to see, oh, humans did this. Okay, I understand. Because they tried to tell us that the Bible was the inerrant word of God. That's what they told us. This book, and I love the Bible. I got tons of Bibles. I have a whole Bible collection, right? I read the Bible. I just use it differently now than I used to use it, right? Now I use it for spells and magic.
And for what is
to
already
the
in there,
of Christians. Yeah. Right. We're using what's already in there because the Bible has in there angelology, demonology. It's got necromancy, sorcery. Yet you wouldn't know it because we weren't taught what is necromancy, what is magic. So we wouldn't know magic if we were looking at it, if we didn't know what magic was. So coming up, you and I were having a conversation about how we were already doing witchy things in our families.
Yeah.
So how, and yet we didn't know it because we didn't know that these were witchy things.
Right.
Right? So how did you discover that your family was already doing witchy things?
And they didn't know it.
They didn't know it was magic and witchcraft.
Once I found out what witchy things are.
Yeah. Then
I'm
was
like,
oh, we do that.
We were doing that.
We're
already.
witches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but I think they knew, but again, that whole hidden thing of not
secrecy.
Yeah, secret, like
were
you
they
don't talk about
Christians
this.
Also?
Well, my
not
grandparents,
really?
It was still Methodist, but it wasn't as structured. My granddad didn't go to church.
Okay.
He'll send, us on, but he didn't go. He was very active in the community and all, but he was very spiritual, Now
nice.
I recognize that he was spiritual. He was a very loving man, concerned man, but he wasn't a religious man. And I understand now from,
the difference.
Yeah, I understand. But at the time, of course, I was just thinking, oh, he doesn't want to go. And when we think anybody who doesn't go to church,
they gonna go to hell.
So, but
they gonna go to hell. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
Let me just plug in the because
the battery.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I have a spare battery. Here it is. Okay. Because I figured that was going to happen because I saw that it was going. Thank you, audience, for being kind and for as you're watching this. Yeah, we got to keep the power going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
It's funny. A lot of dads didn't go to church. The mom and the kids would go. Mm-hmm. Dad be like, oh, no, I'll be here when you get back. Okay.
Exactly.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
What did they know that we
I
didn't
know. That's what I was thinking. I was was like wondering,
They knew
and then he
something
would
that we
go,
didn't
he
know.
would interact, like he would do community service and help out the church, but he wasn't going to the worship services.
Oh,
You
he
know
would
what I mean?
help, but
Like,
he wasn't all into
no, he
it.
wasn't in. He wouldn't
Yeah.
go, like on Sundays. He wouldn't go to church, and they knew
But he
him.
wasn't objecting either.
No, because
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah,
I
he
said,
support
he was
y'all.
like, yeah,
Go
it's
on,
good.
go
It's,
on.
yeah.
We'll see y'all when you get
Yeah,
back.
that's not
and all
for me.
that. Right, it's
He
just
didn't
not
say
for
that,
me.
but we could tell
Yeah,
that wasn't for
that
him,
wasn't
you
his
know?
thing. Yeah.
So yeah. And
But
then,
now, what kind of witchy things was your family doing that later
Well, I
on you
would say-
discovered was witchy?
now, and this is what I would say: the things that when we didn't have medicines and we didn't
We
have,
never had medicines.
right?
either.
It wasn't.
It was all
about
herbs.
You didn't go out to. We did have a drugstore, but that was rare. Anytime you go to a pharmacy or a drugstore, because they had black-owned drugstores in our community in North Carolina. That's what. But that was rare. Like if
Yeah,
you
the roots
had money
healed
to go,
you. You had roots.
they had all of the things, the ingredients that you need to heal, right? But again, that was just something
It was
that
natural.
they did, yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything that I thought again was witchery,
Witchy.
right?
Even though they were doing it and they were speaking prayers and things like that over it
Yep.
and over the people, and later on you find out, oh, they were doing
That's
spell
what they-
work. They were doing spell work with golden seal, echinacea. Did they used to give you golden seal and all
Golden
those?
seal.
Oh, they gave us
Oh.
all those herbs. It was,
Yep.
it was nasty. It was nasty.
It was something one time
But
they
it was
had
so
with.
good for you.
I had some kind of a lump or something, and they had turpentine and eggs
Oh,
or something
yeah.
in a cloth and.
Yeah, make a poultice, or they would make liniments, or they would
and it would make the swelling go down.
it takes the
and
swelling out, and sometimes if somebody had like a boil or something that had pus in
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
they could put things on it to bring
To
that
bring the,
out.
yes, my sister
and-
had that.
oh
so
my
it was like
goodness,
they were doing that. but
Master
again,
healers. Master healers.
Yeah.
But they didn't just do the herbs. They were doing more stuff with
Yeah.
it. You know?
And they were doing, now these are the things they didn't talk about with the children, but I have an aunt, my grandfather's sister, she had an interview with someone in North Carolina where they were doing the history of North Carolina, and she was saying about certain roots the women would do. But see, they didn't talk about that stuff.
They didn't talk about that because they probably thought it was taboo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would venture to say that almost any black family that grew up anywhere near the South, you had to probably have some hoodoo root workers somewhere.
Yeah.
Or you had to have some kind of knowledge still ancestral coming from Africa and the African religions, right, are still in your blood. So you were already doing these magical things, even if you did not consciously know that you were doing magic or witchcraft or whatever the case.
Because it was just something that was passed down. Right.
Yeah, it was passed
a
down.
part of what they did and all. It was just, so it wasn't anything you put a name on.
Right, you didn't call it anything. It's just how we live.
Yes.
That we don't go to pills.
Yeah.
We go to nature.
Yes, because I know that
we never had pills. I don't know when all of these pills came into the world.
I don't like taking pills now.
I don't take pills other than my vitamins and stuff like that. I don't know, and it's bad for people.
Bombarded
with pills. Yes.
With medications.
And the healers, the root workers, the shamans, the witches, the naturopaths, the healers know the powers and the knowledge of how to heal from the earth, from nature. Yeah, that's one of the big powers of the witch.
Yeah.
Is that the witch knows how to heal from nature. Yeah.
And
they had
speak
that down
into
pat.
you.
And speak. Oh, they would
into,
speak.
you know, speak right into you, and then what you heard, you would take it in, and that healing process would go, you know.
Because they would put you in the bed and you would be sweating and all different kinds of things.
That's right.
And they would sit by your bed.
That's right.
And they would speak and they would rock back and forth and do all the rubbing down of the body and all. I mean, everything that you would see a witch doing.
Yeah.
Yet they would get up on Sunday morning and go to church. And it was no problem.
Exactly.
It's no problem.
And I think, well, I know I do that. I've always been more of, I think after reading Dick Gregory's book and how the body, you know, when I read the stuff that he was saying and people, what did he do? The Bohemian diet?
Yes.
And everybody was in there. And I had gotten out of college then. The milk and all, I didn't know anything about that. My mother used to tell me to drink milk for my cramps, and that would make them worse.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just things they didn't know.
Yeah.
At least she didn't know, because by that time she wasn't practicing.
Right, she wasn't. Things. She didn't keep the ancestral wisdom that was passed down, and it's passed down. I say African American families, yet it's passed down through all families.
Yeah.
All families have the knowledge.
It does.
Right?
And different, even like I think we were talking earlier, culturally, you learn different herbs, different spices that other families, you thinking you're the only one, and then you go out and see, they do
calendula too. They do calendula.
They know, and they might tell us about something that we didn't know, but they're practicing these things.
These same healing arts.
Yes.
The healing arts.
Exactly.
And the healing arts, they're powerful. I don't know of anything that these women couldn't heal. And I say women because it was primarily the women doing all this. Mm-hmm. I don't know of anything that they couldn't heal. And then they would also take charge of if someone got pregnant from the time a person got pregnant, even if they were trying to hide it.
Right.
I had a dream about fish.
That's right.
Somebody around here pregnant. Look at her. She pregnant.
That's
no,
right.
I'm not. I didn't do nothing. I'm doing no. Denied to your last breath. And then 3 months later, 4 months later, here comes a little bump.
Yes.
You couldn't get anything past these women.
Not.
You couldn't get it.
It's
How
so
did they
funny.
know all these
it's
things?
funny because they and again that the intuition
is wicked.
Ooh.
It's wicked on point.
Ooh.
Like they would know when you were out too late at night and they would just sit there in the dark.
Yep.
And you walk in thinking you're sneaking in and then turn on the light. They would turn on the light because I'm trying to keep the light off. I'm trying to ease the door closed. Turn on the light. They sitting right there. Hello.
Yeah.
What?
And you didn't even have to be in the house. You didn't have to be in the house. Like when I was in college, like if they sent something.
Yeah, for distance. And they call you right at the time. You'd be like damn, what are they doing? Are they looking at me?
Like, are they following me? Are they hiding somewhere?
Do they have spies? And this was even before the internet.
Yeah.
These women, their spidey senses were so on point, and they didn't need an iPhone to track you.
Sure did.
They tracked you in spirit realms.
Sure did.
Oh my goodness.
I did have some premonitions before of something getting ready to happen.
Yes.
Before it happened, and all this was going on in college, and I'm thinking about it now because I was riding back, and it was like I fell asleep again. The dreams that something was going to happen, like an accident or something.
Oh yeah.
Right?
You could feel a sense of foreboding.
Yeah.
And that sense of foreboding, when I have that, you just know.
Yeah.
Something's
Something
coming.
is.
Yeah.
And then once it's like a deja vu. When I'm there, I'm like, wait a minute.
I saw it's exactly the same.
So I'm like, okay, it's like a warning to me to what to do. I think somebody was driving. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this scene. Okay, can we pull over and let's switch drivers? Because I want to make sure I get back to college, you know, or whatever. But I think back on how those things come, like something will come, and it's normally I call it a dream, but whatever it is, it's a vision, a dream. Those types of things, I always write it off.
Wow, because we grew up in a westernized method, and the Western mind puts high emphasis on intelligence and not a lot of emphasis on your intuition. Like, what, you got a gut hunch?
Yeah.
It's a scientific. Can we measure it?
Right.
Like, we're over physical, so deep into the physical.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And measuring it, and that makes it real. No, it's not real just because it's in the matrix.
Yeah.
It's not real just because it's in the matrix. You know, the other thing about these women that I really love, they knew birthing and babies and taking care of the mother the whole time.
Yeah.
They knew how to birth babies, get that belly button right, Did they ever used to put the copper penny on the baby's belly?
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah,
because sometimes the babies
and
would
it
have
make
the
it fall
outie.
after so many. It'll fall off.
Yeah,
Or,
it'll fall off. And
what? Yes,
the
yes.
umbilical cord will fall
Fall
off.
off.
But some babies would have like a little hernia, like right
Oh,
where
yeah.
that navel is,
Yeah.
and they would have what they call an outie. They used to put a copper penny.
I remember the copper pennies.
Yeah, but it couldn't be a penny. It had to be a copper penny.
No. But then it was
All the
only
pennies
copper.
were copper.
Yeah. See,
Later
now
on,
we don't have.
we
Yeah,
don't know what they're
we don't
making
know
this stuff out of.
exactly.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
Because even
It
there
was
was
a copper-
times.
Yeah, it
and
was
I did
only
this, yeah,
copper.
It had to be-
Only it had
And
to
it's
be copper.
interesting
Because that's a powerful conductor of electricity
It
and
is.
energy. Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And by you saying that,
That's
you see this,
metallurgy. Yeah.
I put one in my shoe because I was having like a little sciatic cramp coming up my leg.
Yeah. The
I
copper.
remember the copper penny. And
Because you could do the bracelet. Yes.
Yep. So again, all these practices were already in us.
We already
But they
knew it.
were- yeah.
We knew it. And then what I also love is they said a lot of things that really sounded very bizarre,
Yeah.
yet they proved to be true. And I give you an example with regard to babies. You know, when they told us you couldn't take a bath for 30 days after you had a baby,
Oh.
and you couldn't wash your hair for 30 days after you had a baby.
Oh. See,
Because
I never had a baby.
Oh, okay. Because you know they had all these things. They call them old wives' tales, right?
Okay.
They had all these things because when they took care of you, and you would think you can't get in the bathtub for 30 days, you can't wash your hair for 30 days, yet you were extremely clean because they would take witch hazel
Oh yeah.
on a cotton ball
Mhm.
and clean your entire
Yeah.
scalp, so your hair was clean.
Right.
And then they would also, tell you how to clean your body
Yes.
without actually getting in the water. And then later on, they found that that's true because
Yeah.
you are not healed. You just pushed a baby out of your womb. You're not supposed to be 2 days later kicked out the hospital,
Right.
and
Right.
then 5 days later at work.
Right.
What are you doing? And it has nothing to do with women's rights and this is that.
No.
It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with
But the body
honoring
needing that exactly.
the healing of
exactly.
your body and the miracle
Oh.
that you pushed a whole
Oh my God.
human being
Yes.
out of your body.
First, you
What?
nursed this.
You
for not-
you were an
and then you-
incubator for 9 months. Nah, I'm gonna sit here for 30
Yeah.
days. Y'all gonna give me food
Yes,
and everything
yes,
else.
yes. And what you just brought up, the other part is you're not introducing anything.
Right,
In
anything
that
in the
area,
water
yeah,
into
in it,
it,
yes,
you're
that
letting
could
all
create-
and
So
you're
they
letting
knew
your
that.
womb, yes. And my mother-in-law, who she was definitely from the old school, my husband's mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
She told him, don't let me out of the bed for 30 days and don't let me out the house for 30 days when I had my baby. And this wasn't actually too long ago because Veronica's only 22, right? And Swanee, that man bought me every meal. I was in the bed, and after a while, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go out. He said, no, you can't go out because Mama said. I was like, and this is a grown man that is very strong.
Oh yeah.
This is a strong black man.
Yeah.
But if Mama said it, no, Mama said.
Look, if I have to hold you down,
I ain't going against what Mama said.
Exactly.
Because Mama gonna
You
be
ain't gonna get on me. But I told you not to let her out.
What? Oh, he wasn't gonna run up the wrong side of Mama. No.
That's something.
You know, Big Mama in black families.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody taking on
That's
Big
right.
Mama.
Right.
Nobody.
And there was not a lot of hospital. I was born in a hospital, but my sisters
were born at home. Yeah, they were midwives and they knew how to position the baby. Just the healing arts,
I know,
the
I'm
birthing
just
arts,
saying. And
all of it.
all of that.
And then the
all
care
of that.
afterwards of mother and baby. All of that. We knew it.
Those are
We knew it all. Until we gave our permission.
Yeah.
We acquiesced all of that to doctors, to
Yeah.
males.
Right.
Who know nothing about the womanly arts
Zero.
of wombs
Yeah.
and babies.
Yeah.
And so hence they came up with tongs, salad tongs. Well, let's just put it on the head and yank it out. That's such a man thing to do.
And trauma.
And right, and traumatized. You remember when they used to have the forceps?
Yeah.
Men thought of all that because
Yeah.
when the art of birthing was still in the red tent and the art of midwifery, we didn't have mid-husbandry. We had husbandry. animal husbandry.
Oh, okay.
The men were
right.
taking care of the animals, right? We had midwifery, that you were a midwife. You
That's
called
right.
a woman
Right.
that had knowledge of the healing arts. And the womanly arts of the womb and creation of a baby and the red tint and the cycles of the womb with the moon that we still have. This is the new moon we're going into tonight. They understood that.
They knew what to do.
Yes.
They
And they
knew
were
what to do.
aligned with the cosmic reality.
Yeah.
And then we got to a place where now they just straight up stab your womb open and yank your baby out.
It's
That's where they are now.
Yeah.
Most of them. Most of the babies, they stab the woman open, they slice her open and yank the baby out. It is absolutely horrendous. It's horrendous.
And
And
what energy just,
of all the
It's just
C-sections,
totally
rapid increase.
the sacredness is just
Where
becoming
is the
barbaric.
sacred? Right,
It's
it's very barbaric. And when you consider it, there are even medically proven, scientifically proven changes that happen to the baby that are necessary when it pushes through the birth canal to come out. It's got to squeeze the lungs to squeeze that water out. It's got to squeeze the head, for the head to come together. There's wisdom in all of that.
Right.
So how do
Then
we
when
think, we know better than that wisdom?
And then what effect afterwards does that have on the baby? Because
A lot.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, they even say that there are a lot of people that are grown who are obese because of the formula. Because a lot of breastfed babies, and there are just so many things you could say even about breastfeeding and the womanly arts of feeding a human, that not only can you incubate it, birth it, you can keep it alive for like 2 years.
Right.
3 years on just what's coming out of here. And they even say that when a baby latches on to the mother's nipple, the nipple has so many sensors in it, because we know a nipple is highly sensitive, right? It has sensors in it that can sense from the saliva of the baby what nutrients the baby is missing.
Is that right?
And it sends the signal to the mother, more calcium, more magnesium. So the breasts are changing the formula. It's formula, it's not formula. It is a formula. It's a divine formula.
The chemical, it's like
it's chemical reactions, right? And it's responsive. It's not just, just get some milk.
Right.
No. This is an extremely complex system that that the body does. It's extremely complex. Extremely complex.
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Extremely complex. And that babies nursing, they have to latch on and they have to really suck hard. They have to really suck to get the breast milk out, unlike bottles where they kind of getting all this milk coming in. They have to work for breast milk, which builds up their jaw.
Yeah, I was thinking, I remember reading somewhere that the suckling part is a part of strengthening something the baby needs.
That's right, the jaw, Okay. So it's such a perfect system.
And it's all of this, and I'm not going to blame the church on it, but I would just say
interesting
that we have lost so much. And I know that for myself, just the healing of my own body, I was always in tune with my body. And certain things I knew, once I was in control of my own body, I knew what my body responded well to and what it did respond
it did not.
to.
Yes.
And like the whole medication thing, I was never up into that. And so when doctors would say, well, you need this and you didn't, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try to, let me try other things. So I was always into using natural remedies, homeopathic remedies and all, which I still do today, yes.
Which is where our healing is in nature. And the witch knows this.
Yeah.
The witch knows that nature is our healing ally. Plant medicine, that's even why we go on plant medicine retreats.
Yeah.
Magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, San Pedro, because these are powerful, potent healers and teachers, these medicines, plant medicines.
Yeah, and plant medicines, that experience too. I
You
just
had a
tried
shrooms
that.
experience
Yeah,
too,
I
and
did.
that's a powerful
Yeah.
plant medicine.
And
isn't
that's
it?
something I would not have. I mean, now again, I'm stepping into
Yes.
the power.
All of it.
that's within me.
All of
But
it.
that because again, the
What would the church people say if they knew that you were taking
Honey.
plant medicine? Shrooms.
well, I know what they would say. She really lost her mind. Oh, she out there now. See, the
She
world got her
really
now.
out
The
there.
world.
You passed backsliding. Backsliding.
The world done got me. Oh my gosh, if they only knew.
Come back to Jesus. Actually, there are many paintings of Jesus, Yeshua,
Mm-hmm.
ancient paintings
Yeah.
with mushrooms in them.
What?
Look them up online. Do a search online and see Yeshua.
But you know what? If
Yeah.
you think about it,
And with a staff that looks like a magic wand.
yeah,
And in some ancient churches when he was on the earth,
mm-hmm.
a zodiac
Yep. Just
circle.
symbols, signs, and
yeah,
stuff there.
Yeah, all of it. But people don't know because they won't tell you that in church. So they don't know. You have to go and seek and
And
find
you have
for
to go
yourself.
beyond, yeah, just reading and studying, which is why I enjoy your teachings and all.
Oh.
I do, and I've learned through a lot of different texts about it's not just straight what the word is saying, what the Bible is saying, because the interpretation is gonna come through spirit, but when you're really open to it, oh my gosh, it's just like things just that makes sense, and the words. The words actually now start to come alive
Yes.
in the Bible. Like
It's
the things
more,
that
the
it said
Bible is
just
more
really
alive for me now as a
Yeah.
Christian witch. That is no longer the inerrant word of
Yeah,
God
yeah.
and it's totally literal.
Right.
It's actually more alive.
because you're
than
able
ever.
to just read the word instead of all of the rules and
Doctrine,
doctrine
dogma,
that was interpreted that went with it. So it's just-
interpretations, right.
So, yeah.
All made up by humans, So now, what next? Where are you going now? Tonight we have a class. I do want to let everyone know that tonight we have a class, and the class is on angel magic.
Yeah.
So tonight we're diving into 10 archangels. The
Ooh.
10, yeah. Isn't that powerful?
Ooh,
Can't you
yes,
feel it?
yes,
I
yes.
freaking love these 10 archangels.
Mhm.
And not only the archangels, the legion of angels they command.
Wow.
Because each of the 10 command a whole
A whole
legion of
legion.
angels. Yes.
See?
Yes. Look
Now,
at
we
all
hear
the
about
power you can
angels,
tap into
but
in
not
angel
all
magic.
that. Oh my God!
Oh,
I'm gonna be.
That's in the Bible. And it's
That's
in the
what
Bible.
I mean. It's there.
It's there.
But we don't understand what's.
We don't
there,
know what
you
we're looking
it's-
at.
Exactly.
Right. And that class is at christianwitches.com. And even if you're not on the live one, you will still be able to get instant access to that class even after that class has, that I've taught it live. Because I like to teach the classes live first, and then after I teach the classes, then I go to something else.
Oh.
Now, for anyone who is on the Christian Witches YouTube channel,
Mhm.
and you're watching this, I want you to know something. Your path is uniquely your own. You are not here to follow rules. You're here to follow your soul and your soul's knowing.
Mhm.
And you're here to follow your guidance from spirit, your own inner guidance and wisdom from source. And the only way you'll know that really is to go into deep spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Deep spiritual practice, meditation, contemplation, study, and really, really get in
Just
there
allow.
and being still so that you can hear the still
Mhm.
small voice clearly so that you know what to do and where to go.
And I want to say something to that voice that's still, because for me, there was always an unctioning and knowing. And sometimes I followed it, sometimes I didn't. But now that I understand and know what it is, because I think anybody out there who's, even if you're in the church, you feel it, you sense it, you know it, just go with that.
Yeah.
Just know that it's guiding you. It's not something that you're making up or, rationalizing about, because that's what happened for me. And it's going to keep on
It's insistent.
unctioning
It doesn't
you
go away.
until you. So that's why I had to come out of the closet with mine. I knew that once I get to a certain place, if I called in what I desire, whatever my calling, God, what is your purpose? If I said that, then the next step was, okay, I have your purpose. You step into it. It's not God waiting on us. It's me actually trusting and knowing God already have it there. So I just have to walk into it. So I came out of hiding.
Another one out the closet.
I was scared, but now, and I called this teacher in to help me in this new way, because I'm still learning, I'm still growing, but then I know it all resonates. It's just amazing when we think things are happening because we're using what God gave us, and we're like, oh, it worked. But it's doing this constantly, just knowing that whatever, just walking and living your life, it works constantly. It's always working.
It's always working.
You're right. It's all according to what you believe that moment is for you. Is that working, or is the mind, the rational mind, the ego taking over to say that's not really what it is?
Right. Yeah. Because the logical mind, the lower mind, the rational mind, the conscious mind is very loud.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the still small voice, the voice for spirit, God, source, whatever you desire to call it, deep within, that voice is the soft, still soft voice, right? The still small voice. I don't really call it a small voice, right? Because it's saying some profound things. It's saying big things. Yet it speaks in a whisper, and it speaks with gentle nudges. And we're all getting it all the time.
All the time.
All the time. There's never been a moment that Spirit hasn't been speaking to us. And what occurs is that we so easily brush it off because maybe we're moving too fast or we're too And what we always recognize after the fact is something told me, something told me to get my keys. Right?
Yeah.
And now you're locked out the car.
Yeah.
Something told me to
just moments before, and
just always
to make that turn. And
but I was just so I go this rather than being with spirit and going to the right instead of just this is where I normally go. That's what I'm doing. Being still, being present right here, right now. Yes, and then going with spirit that way.
It's really
a different
magical,
isn't it?
It really is.
It is so.
It's like
magical.
I can tune into this more, you know. And it seems like at least the older I was getting, I was shutting it out until it was like, no, this is not what's gonna happen. You're gonna do this.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm just open now. I'm just even. So I am. I'm ready.
You are. You ready? And can you tell us, as we conclude, about your ancestor that you saw in the picture with the roots, the root worker? Can you tell us about her? Because I love her.
So what I was sharing is my grandfather's father's mother. Her name is Mama Hannah Vale. I found a picture of her, and we just had a family reunion, so they had all of the pictures of the ancestors on the altar, and they had her. And it was 1864, this old cabin. She was standing in front of this like old wooden cabin house, and she had this coat on, looked like a man's coat. Her face looked hard, like whoever took the picture, she was looking like, what you doing, or whatever.
You know, in the old pictures, they all look mean. They all look like they were mean mugging you. But it's just that. I think it took a long time to take the pictures. Right. So they couldn't smile for like that whole time. So they just...
And they weren't posing for pictures.
No,
it wasn't a lot of cameras.
Like
so
what
somebody took the photo, but what she had in her hand was a lot of what I thought was weeds, but there's some kind of herbs. And she was holding that. And this was, I was sharing with
root worker.
Yeah, that, here we go. All these confirmations of when I decided to say, okay, this is who I am, and then this picture came back into my conscious awareness. Field of awareness. It's on a computer. And then I was like, so she was speaking to me saying, what do you think this is?
What do you think I'm about to do
I'm not
with
out
this?
here cutting grass.
Right. I'm not doing this just for fun,
And it was
just for kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had a whole handful. I'm gonna show you that picture. So I
I
was
would
like,
love to
wow.
see that picture because she's with you very strong. She's
Yeah.
with you very strong.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Frederick Douglass talks about meeting the hoodoo man in the woods? He ran away from the plantation.
Oh, okay.
Or from one of the plantations that he was on. He ran away when he was a slave because he had gotten beat so badly. Yeah, really badly. And when he ran away out in the woods, he met a hoodoo. And you could say a hoodoo. You could say a root worker, right? And this, we would say root worker, or we would say they work roots, or they do roots, or whatever. Then you know you're talking about a magical person,
Right?
And everybody in the neighborhood knew who they were. Was that how you were? You knew who
the
root worker
That's
was.
the thing. Everybody knew who
Everybody
did
knew.
their
who
specialty and what they do. Oh, go to so and so for
they
this.
got
If
that.
you want to do that,
Yeah.
oh, somebody
This
would
one-
tell you about that. Yeah, because they had a little community.
They had a clique. Yeah, yes they did.
Like the mamas, midwives, they can't. Oh, come
yeah.
on, we need.
Yeah,
they call
do
all
this,
that who need that. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he met this root worker out in the woods. And the root worker was like, what are you doing? You know, he's like running. And the root worker was obviously a black man. And he said that he was a man that had the magics from Africa. He still had the African magics. The man said he had all the African magics. So there are more than one, right? And the root worker said, what are you doing? Because you know they're going to come after you, and it's good. And I was thinking the root worker was free. Like, was he just hanging out in the woods? Or what was going on with this root worker? I was always super curious about the root worker. And so he told the root worker, Frederick Douglass told the root worker all the problems that he had been beat so badly and blah, blah, blah. And the root worker said, come here. And he picked High John the Conqueror root. And he told him, put it on your right side in your pocket. He said, and as long as you carry that, they will never be able to beat you again. As long as you carry it on your person. And he was like, this sounds ridiculous. This man is from Africa. He says he has all the magics from Africa. It doesn't sound like it would work. Yet he said, but what would it hurt me to carry this root on? It's not like it's a problem for me.
Yeah.
And what if it does work? Sure enough, he put High John the Conqueror.
Wow.
They never touched him again.
And then look how he evolved to
Got free.
And help
Got to the north, got other people free, got married, had a child, learned to read, taught himself how to read.
Yes.
Learn to read, learn to write, wrote books.
Wow. Yeah. That's, every time you speak, again, this is what.
Isn't that incredible?
Because Frederick Douglass, we live right up the street from the Frederick Douglass house, and we will walk all back and
This is
forth.
in Maryland, right?
And this was in D.C.
Oh, D.C., yes, like that area.
Yeah,
Because out on the eastern shore was Harriet Tubman.
That's right,
Yes,
Harriet Tubman.
Maryland.
And this is in the hood. And I'm like, okay, this man, this is the house that he lived in, and he did all of these speeches and his work in. Now it's in the hood, and you got children walking back and forth. They notice it's the Frederick Douglass house, but we didn't really, we learned some stuff about, because I didn't know anything about the root.
Yeah, the root work and the
Story,
magic behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't be able to rise from being a slave that was getting beaten every which
Unless
way.
you had magic.
All the way up to where he ascended to without magic.
Woo!
Like, all magical practitioners know that. You couldn't rise and do all that without magic. There were some supernatural forces that you tapped into that caused you to be able to do all that.
Right.
That's what happened.
And when you just said that, I was like, ooh, I wonder if he was a real human. Or did he see us
about the root worker?
Yeah.
I wondered that exact thing.
Because you said
I wondered that
you know, they're
exact
accounting
thing.
for their whereabouts at all times. And so if he was
Right.
stealing away somewhere,
But this man was not a slave.
right,
He said he was a root worker, and and this man is somewhat enigmatic
Yeah.
because we cannot quite place him.
And he's
and
telling
why
the
wasn't
story
he
in it, yeah.
on a plantation, and why wasn't he a slave? And how is he just hanging out in the woods, and the dogs haven't got him nothing?
Right. So you see, the
He
visitation.
had-
It could have been a visitation,
It
but he
could
didn't
have
write it as
been.
that.
He didn't
So,
write it
'cause
as that.
It
It
may
was
not
an
have been published.
actual, it
Yeah.
was an actual person talking to him.
Yeah.
But when you, just as I was telling the story, it did come up in my consciousness, was this a real man?
Yeah.
Or was this a visitation from an ancestor? Yeah. Right at the time that he needed it.
And then
I guess we won't know.
No.
Because there are too many questions about how was this man able to be living out in the woods?
Right. And then happened.
Where did he
on
come
him,
from?
and-
Right. How did he run straight into him? Where did he come from? I mean, the woods are vast.
Yeah.
It leaves
That's
a lot
the magic.
of
That's the magic.
mystery
That's
that
the
we
thing,
love.
and that's the part of the unknown that sometimes we're afraid to explore. But I know
That's the part I
There's-
jumped straight into.
that's the part I'm ready to
Explore.
delve into a little more.
Yeah.
Because I think about that. I think that there are always
Multiple
get in our
presences
attention.
around us all the
but
time.
so many distractions and stuff. When I was walking, I went to Isla Harris and I was walking around the structure of Punta Serra, and I saw these iguanas, and,
Oh man,
and I
those
took
big,
pictures.
giant iguanas
Oh my
out
gosh,
there.
they-
Yeah.
and they were just looking, and I said,
Yeah, they just
"Are you an
freeze.
ancestor?"
Yeah, they just freeze.
Because they were just watching everybody, and I wondered. I said, "So you're here? Are you an ancestor?"
Isn't that
I mean,
something?
this ground
Because they do
is
speak
a
to
lot
you
of history.
through
Yeah,
animals, through a myriad of ways. The ancestors
Like-
have a myriad of ways to connect with
Yeah.
us. Mhm.
and it could be where there are multiple ones here, and they're unassuming because people know iguanas are all around, but it could be ancestors in there.
Yeah, because they're all around, yet you may look one in the eye and you know something's happening now. And you can't get it out of your mind. So there are too many experiences that we cannot simply hand wave away or
Yeah.
explain away,
Exactly.
because they stay with us. And it just like Frederick Douglass having to write
Yeah.
about that man
Yeah.
in the woods.
Exactly.
It's fascinating.
And then he took the advice.
He did it. He
had
never
doubt
got
about it.
never
And
got
then-
beat again.
And I
Not
think
one
Harriet
day.
Tubman had an experience of that nature too.
And
when
she had a
ran away.
dream that she was to go free. It's like, and she was already free.
Yeah.
She was already in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
free. And she had a dream that she was to go back and get her family. And people thought she was crazy. Are
Yes,
you kidding me?
yes,
You never
yes,
survive.
yes,
You'll die. Da,
Right.
da, 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 da. Because, of course, that was her divine assignment. And she followed that unction, that inner knowing. And when she followed it, well, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Safe.
Yes.
Many people never caught, never could. She just kept slipping through their
Yeah.
hands. They could never get
Get
her.
her.
And you know that was all supernatural.
You know,
It's all supernatural.
we know that it was
Because how are the
supernatural.
dogs not going to get you? And sometimes she had families
Yeah.
with children and babies.
Right. Exactly.
You can't outrun dogs.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is that happening?
And you taking whole groups of people.
Groups of people.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So,
the
yeah, we know.
supernatural
Is always
is
and
all
again the
into
story
one
is
thing.
told differently to leave some of these things out.
Right, because
they
the
think-
scientific, quote unquote, rational mind that writes textbooks for school,
Mm-hmm.
they can't put in their supernatural
Yeah.
things and stick with their rationalistic mentality. Well, we know that the supernatural runs the whole thing.
Yeah. That's right.
That's how it works. And the physical is but the manifestation or the
Yeah, of what
outpicture
is
of the
exactly
supernatural.
is
So it's very interesting that people want to play that game, yet there is a mass awakening
it is.
on the planet of people waking up
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that
Okay.
this is real,
This is real.
and I need to take this on, and I
Tap
need to get
into
with it.
my
Yeah, I
power.
need to get into my magic.
Yes.
And I'm here to help a lot of Christians reclaim their magic, because your magic was
Ooh, yes.
taken from you, it was stolen from you, straight up.
Completely.
you need to reclaim it.
Yeah.
Because people
It's
told you
there.
don't-
It's there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
still
it never
there.
left.
Yeah.
And so when I say stolen from you, I mean they gave you the idea that it was bad.
Yeah.
And so by you having the idea that the Bible does, that says no witches, no this, no that, blah blah blah, by you having those ideas, that is effectively a person stealing your magic, because
It is.
you will lock it down and you won't do it.
Right. They convince you to
To
lock
lock
your
yourself
own.
down. The best con going.
Exactly.
The best con
Exactly.
convince you to lock
Convince you,
yourself down.
Right. And,
Wow.
and convince you to tell me that you have the answer.
Ooh.
So I'm always looking for
to you,
Yeah.
pastor,
Yeah.
priest,
Yeah.
save me.
Yes. And it's never going to be that answer as long as you
Kinds of little alarms. You're
when
never
the-
going to find an answer
when- like
to
you
your
said,
life
the
outside of
graduation.
yourself.
When
Yeah,
the
church.
graduation.
When do we
never
graduate?
gonna-
You never graduate.
Never,
We're going to be
yeah.
in this mug forever? No.
And some are, some have been.
And
this
it's
is the thing I
okay
watch.
if that works for you.
If it's working
If
and
it's
you're
feeding
winning
your
and
spirit
it's
working,
bringing
there's some great,
results.
there's some great churches out there.
Yeah,
Because there are
that
some
are doing
churches
this
that
now.
are spiritual.
Yeah.
They're helping you tap into your own power.
Yeah.
They're empowering.
Yeah.
They're not disempowering.
Exactly.
But if you're in a disempowering
Church,
situation,
that's what I'm speaking of. Those areas, be it a church or wherever.
wherever
that
it is,
you're
it could be
being
a job.
disempowered. Yes.
It could be at the
Exactly.
doctor's office.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anything that does not absolutely acknowledge your sovereignty
Yeah.
as a sovereign being
Yeah.
is a problem,
It is a problem.
isn't it? Because
It
you
is a
are
problem.
sovereign. From take the jab, it's not about the jab.
No.
If the jab is good, if it's not good, if you take it, if you don't take it, completely up to each person. Choose whatever you choose. My sovereignty says I choose.
I choose.
And
I get to
I
choose.
choose for
And
me.
if you, yes.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right information, or if you don't, if it's in you, it's like this doesn't feel right.
Then
but
it's a no, right?
It's a no.
Something about this
It's
is
just-
not quite
yes.
right. But yeah, we let outside pressures try to get us to do things, try to get us to conform.
Yeah.
And that's really what the work on this channel is all about, and all throughout the
Yeah.
Christian Witches community
Breaking
all
it,
over the
breaking it.
world,
Yes.
is to stand in your own sovereignty.
Stand in.
Because Christians have been so fed the line that the pastor is going to save you, the priest is going to save you, Jesus is going to save you, and Jesus did not teach what most churches teach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Jesus did not teach what we are practicing against ourselves.
No, he didn't
Jesus
teach
was
that.
teaching the opposite.
Yeah.
That you have
It's
the power
in you.
within
You are.
And
Yeah.
you know, I go
Right.
to the Father, and then you could go to the Father. We are one. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, it wasn't making sense. Why do we keep seeking outside of ourselves?
Because
But
people want to
of-
control people, because there are vampires
Yeah.
on the planet, and because people who are unhealed in their consciousness, you know, maybe were bullied as kids,
Yeah.
maybe they have some kind of control issues, and they haven't gotten those. There's a surge of power that comes from a whole church
Right.
looking at you as the
That's
savior.
true.
And
Yeah.
people don't want to always give
That's
that
an
up.
addiction right there.
Yeah,
right?
it's every
like-
Sunday they're looking to you, preach, pastor, preach. You know, not all pastors are like that.
No,
Of course.
it's
Some-
not,
there's
but
some
you-
great pastors.
People know what we're saying when you see, like I said, there's no movement. Some people are just giving their entire life and they're living
Money.
like this and keep waiting and waiting
And the pastor's doing great.
yeah,
And what is the congregation doing?
right.
That has always been my
That's why I say
question.
if the pastor's doing great, the
And the
congregation
congregation
should be greater,
Should
right?
be great. Should be great.
Because you're teaching me, if you're doing well, oh, I should be doing better.
Should be thriving, prospering. Yet you see people, you know, I heard an ex-pastor saying to me, he told me something that was so profound. He said that there was this couple that had lost their job, and you know how they tell you tithing, give the 10, give the 10, give the 10, give the 10, right? And this couple had lost their job, and the husband, they really didn't have money to pay the rent. And so, if they tithed,
Oh, okay.
right? So they had the rent money, but if they tithed, they wouldn't have the rent money. So he told this pastor that was telling me this, who's no longer, he deconverted, deconstructed and all that a long time ago. He said, because he used to hear these things from people, like, we're going to go ahead and pay this tithe, even though we won't be able to pay our rent because the Lord is faithful and he'll send us a way to pay our rent. Now, probably because that's your belief, that if you tithe, you're probably believing that you're going to get it, then that's your magic. You're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make money come to you to pay the rent, and then you're going to say that it was an outside God, right? Yet, what outside God wants you to not pay your rent?
Yeah.
Because he demands that you give him 10%
First. Exactly.
I'm scratching my head
Right.
about this God.
Yeah.
I'm scratching this God is very suspect to me.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
does not sound like a God that I want to even
Like
know or be around.
loving, like the love.
It's not a
like,
loving
that's
God.
not loving.
It's not
Like
loving.
I'm gotta struggle, but to prove to you that I'm willing to give everything,
Everything.
and then I know if I believe it's gonna come back because you're gonna bless me because that's what your word said.
Yeah.
And
That's
the word,
weird.
you know,
That's
yeah,
a
it
weird
is.
dynamic.
Like
It's
yeah.
very weird, and it's like the
If you
Abraham.
already have
It gives
it,
you
you
the
know.
creeps. You know the way the way the Christian people teach the Abraham story is very different from how the Jewish people teach the Abraham story of giving up their child. So when the Christians tell us the Abraham story, you know, Abraham was willing to kill his son,
Yeah.
and they call that a badge of honor.
Right.
I call it sadistic
Right.
because why is
Why would
God
God-
asking you to kill your child and you're about to do it? You're wrapping this child up on an altar, knife over his, and then the angel stop. Like, and the kid is probably like, oh my God, is my dad about to kill me? And you're like, and they say he wasn't even a boy, he was like 18.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's very weird. But the Jewish people tell it from a different perspective than the Christian people tell it.
How do
And
they
I would
tell it?
understand it because the Jewish people, they are not telling it from the perspective of God wanted Abraham to kill his son. That's not what it was saying. And they also say that there was a ram there and that the ram was meant for the sacrifice, not your own child. And the Christians tell it to us like it's a badge of honor, like this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like
That this is how
you get
trusting
favor
of
with
God.
this God.
Yeah. That you, yeah. And I'm like, what God would want you to trust in that
fashion.
way
Right.
when you're created. And then now, if you trust me, this is how much I know you trust me.
Because you would even
give
kill your kid.
So I was like, yeah.
No.
And the
No.
jealous God and all
No.
that. I was
And
like,
then
why
when
would
you
God
do
be jealous?
He's-
God can do everything, even though
Anything.
God can do and make it. Why would God be
And you know what I
jealous?
thought was especially horrific about that story? That where did Abraham get this child from anyway? Isaac. After he had been barren, his wife had been barren for all this time. And then he has Ishmael, right? And then he has Isaac. And now Isaac is like the one that's supposed to be the seed that's supposed to bring all these children to the whole planet. Give me that one. But wait a minute. I couldn't have a kid all this time. I finally get a kid. And now you're telling me kill the kid? Well, I don't know which one.
Yeah.
But supposedly the way they paint Abraham is that he was so, yes, I'll do anything, God. And just get ready to
Like how
stab your
strong the
kid.
faith, like
yeah,
the
so
faith.
faith of Abraham.
But
Do we examine this story
exactly?
a little more?
And is that what faith really means?
Good question. Is
You
it?
know? That you would sacrifice. Now, I understand that you'll be willing to surrender material things, surrender to trust the process of things you don't need.
Oh yeah,
But when it
I
comes
understand
to-
the idea of giving up something for something greater.
Right.
You know, the whole idea of relinquishing, surrender. You
but
understand
to prove
that.
that's
Prove
a
to me
proving.
how much you love me. Kill him.
That's how great
And
the
then
faith
you
is.
get
Yeah.
ready to kill him, and then, okay, stop. But these are mind games.
Yeah,
This
it
is traumatizing.
It really is.
But God is love.
Exactly. Now that part right there, I was like,
Doesn't
now
match.
And then
Doesn't match.
what does it say? What love is? And I'm reading is love is
Kind.
Kind,
Love is patient.
patient,
Love is
not envious, not boastful, not
doesn't keep account of the injuries.
And I'm saying, and then how does a jealous God say this is love, and then we do this? So again,
It's
it
not.
was not aligning. It was not
It
aligning.
doesn't lie.
And I know Jesus, or
Yeshua.
Yeshua's journey was all about love.
It was all about love. It was all about
All
love.
about love. So no,
Yeah.
it made no sense.
It doesn't add
Zero
up.
sense.
Mhm.
Zero
And then when you study and you find out that Yahweh
That's
was
not-
like a storm god, and he
Yeah.
was so he's a storm god and a war god, and he sounds when you read really about the origins of Yahweh,
Yeah.
the one who became the god of everything. He didn't start off as the god of everything. He started off as a regional, just worshipped in one particular part of the world, and he was a storm god. He was a war god, and he sort of morphed as gods do over the years. And this god reminds me a little bit of Shango. You know Shango
Oh, yeah.
with
That's-
the
she has
storm.
my head.
Shango has your head. No wonder we get along, because Oya has my head.
Oh,
Yes, Shango has your head. No wonder you got the red hair. That explains a lot. He coming with the fire. Oh my God. You know, and he reminds me of Shango. When I read Yahweh
Yeah.
and the true origins of Yahweh, Yahweh was there, and Bel, which is sort of like El or Baal, all of that is sort of in the same linguistic family. Bel was actually this very loving father kind of God. Feels to me like I equate things back to the African experience, and it feels like Olodumare. It feels like he is like a supreme deity, and he was like a loving father kind of deity. And these two got morphed over time. And then they got rid of the wife, because both of them had wives, right? Bel had a wife, and Yahweh had a wife. Yahweh's wife was Asherah or Asherah. And they always talked about Yahweh and his Asherah. That's all throughout. And then they went through the Bible and combed it out. In the 6th century BCE, they combed out all of the Asherah. But you can still find her all through the Bible, because she was through everywhere. It was Yahweh and Asherah. It was everywhere. And as a matter of fact, when you go and you look in archaeology terms.
now this is a Hebrew Bible?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See.
The Hebrews, when they went into Babylonian captivity, they were like, man, we're really screwed, because how are we in this horrible predicament again? And so because they were in such a horrible predicament, taken captive by the Babylonian Empire, they decided, the conclusion that they came to was, we must have angered our God. Now, all of these Mesopotamian civilizations, none of them said that they were the only God. They all knew there was many gods. It was understood. And it was understood that Yahweh even understood that. He didn't say that there were no other gods. He said, have no other gods before me. I'm the first God for you people. It was not for the whole world. It was for this group of people. And that was very typical of gods, because this God would have this people, this God would have this people, this God would have this people, right? Well, when they were in captivity and they said, oh, our life is so horrible, you know, this is really bad. And then when the Medes and Persians came through, because it was the Assyrians, the Babylonians, and the Medes and Persians. When the Persians came through, they were very relaxed about everybody keeping their gods. But the Babylonians were not like that. Like, no, you dropping your God and you're taking our God. That old God, he's gone. Now your God is our God. You know, because part of colonization is to take over people's religion and their spiritual practices, right? That's part of, and when I say colonization, I just don't mean the Middle Passage. I mean all of the colonizations that have taken place through hundreds of thousands of years of human existence on the planet. So when they had that experience, they realized, hey, we angered God by worshiping other gods. He said, have no other gods before me, otherwise he would have saved us. So they don't ever say, this is a shit God. They say, we did something wrong, so we have to fix it. That's what they always say. They don't ever say, maybe the God we picked is not a great God. Maybe we need to go, because he didn't save us from anything. He didn't save us from Jack. This God gets 0 points. This God saved you from nothing.
Right.
But you're praying
Right.
and bringing food
Right.
and bringing offerings. And this God didn't do jack for
Haven't done
you.
it. Waiting.
Waiting and praying. And not only did this God not do jack for you, your life is so hell that it clearly looks like
Yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. You're hauled off into captivity in a foreign land, right?
Yeah.
So when the scribes got set about to redoing their history, once the Babylonians were taken over by the Persians, and then some of them could come back to their homeland, right? There were two camps, because there were the kingdom of the north and kingdom of the south. And when they got back together, there were kind of two camps, two different kinds of ways of seeing things. That's why we have Genesis 1 and Genesis 2.
Oh.
So they merged it in the Bible. And many people don't know what they did with the Bible. They rewrote the Bible.
Yeah.
They went through all of the Hebrew Bible. You remember that they did that? They went through all of and they did a big redaction of the Bible. And anybody could look this up. This is not conspiracy theory. It's archaeology. It's history. It's true.
Yes.
It's what happened, right? So because they did a and you can actually see where it was redacted. And you can also see where there were kind of two different ideas, and they kind of tried to weave them both together.
Yeah, because that's why there's some of the areas aren't aligned.
They're not aligned, and some of them are double. The thing is written double.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they had to make both the camps happy. Wow. So you have, if you study the origins of the Bible, then you can become very educated about these things. Otherwise, I don't really have conversations with people who do not have education about the Bible and don't want to learn, because you just can't tell them anything. They just are like, the Bible is the word of God, and they're just not ready yet for truth.
Not ready.
Because you can research it. You could at this point you could ask ChatGPT. Even the AI knows it, but a lot of Christians don't know it. I don't know how that happened.
Exactly.
How did we get a world where the AI knows the origins of the Bible and the redaction of the Bible and all these things that we're talking about? Everyone knows it except the Christians that don't want to accept it. Now, there are a lot of Christians that do know it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we have to deal with this.
Yeah.
And it's a big problem for the Bible thumpers. It's a big problem for them because we have the smoking gun. We have to prove that it was.
We've said this so long now.
Yeah.
Like they did, merge the two. How do we now change it? How do we now convince people it was a lie? Some of them are getting up on and admitting what they taught. Some of these ministers.
Some of the ministers are now starting to say, because people are doing research. It's called research. And when people do research, they say, wow, we were told things that are just not true.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I did
that
go through my angry period for a minute about that because it just felt like a betrayal.
I know.
Like, you fucking lied to us.
Yeah, right.
Yet I had to get over my angry period so I could learn, start from scratch, and just throw out your whole belief house. That's what I did. Right. And the one thing that I kept is God is love, because that was the thing I knew.
And that's the thing.
You couldn't tell me nothing about that. I knew that.
That's the universal practice principle ever, and that's
it's
not
a
only
truth
that
could not fail.
Yeah.
God is love. I knew that. So I kept that. And then I went on a systematic search. I studied archaeology.
Yeah.
I studied history.
Yeah.
I studied Judaism. I study world religions. I study magic. I study occult mysteries. I study the Gnostics. I study early Christianities and what happened after Christ passed. What happened? You know, I study all of these things. And if you study, you know, the Bible says, study to show thyself approved.
Absolutely, yeah.
Then you will know truth. Yet, for people that don't want to know it yet, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to know it yet. They're not ready.
And maybe that was a part of their assignment that they would leave not knowing.
Yeah.
But they're
not ready to know.
Yeah.
Because you can't, it's almost like in the Matrix. Do you remember in the Matrix when they took Neo out of the Matrix and they were worried because he was past the age that they like to take people out the Matrix? Because
which one?
The very first one.
Okay.
The Matrix. Do you
Yeah,
remember
I remember the Matrix.
Do you remember when they found Neo and they took him out of the Matrix? They got him out of his pod and they dropped him.
Yeah.
And then they were, and he was like, "Why do my eyes hurt?" He said, "Because you've never used them." You mean I'm 30-something years old and I have never used my eyes? I haven't seen nothing. I was in a pod.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the reality.
That was it.
And he came out the Matrix. The Matrix tells you the whole story right
Yeah.
there. And so when he came out the Matrix, Neo said he was worried for him because he was past the age that they like to take people out the Matrix. Because after you've been in the Matrix for so long, it would be cruel to take you out of the Matrix because you can't.
I know.
You can't.
It's like, again, what can you do now at this? I mean, there's something, but that's the feeling. Like when you say when you found the truth, you got angry.
Yeah, I had an angry phase.
And
I was
now,
angry for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that didn't help me.
Right, right. But imagine when you're getting to a certain age, and that makes sense. I forgot that. I'm gonna have to look that.
Oh my God, the Matrix! I've looked at it so many
times that you got those.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember that. But again, when every time you say something, it brings something up to think about. Again, why we're here and what is going on now. Why it's so hard when people are clinging to something. It's like, y'all done deceived me this long. I'd rather stay deceived than to get the truth.
And that's exactly what happened with Cypher. Do you remember that Cypher decided
he said he wanted
put me back in the Matrix?
Exactly.
Because I know the truth. But put me back
like,
in.
I'd rather be back in the Matrix.
I'd rather be back in. And make me famous and give me steaks. I know this is not a real steak I'm eating. I know this is not even real cheesecake. But put me back in. I'm over it.
Exactly.
He didn't want Zion. He didn't want the truth. Just put me back in. I don't have to think about anything.
Yes.
And I'm just going to be in my fake world. Not everyone's ready to come out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And that is A-okay. That is for the one who are. That's who we talking to.
Not everybody wanted to come out of the
down in
closet,
Zion dancing. We in Zion partying. Yes. All right, so how can people get in touch with you if they want to find you on Facebook? We'll link it up below this video too. This has been a delicious conversation.
It has been.
Another
Thank
Christian
you.
witch.
Thank you.
I'm so happy.
I
love it.
Well, Soul Sister Circles Retreat. I'll drop the link.
We'll put it below this vid. Can people connect with you on Facebook too?
Oh yeah. Well, that's my Facebook group.
Oh, good.
Okay,
so you have a group, a Facebook group.
Facebook group.
Okay, where you work with people.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, and they can ask you questions and get to know you more
and then
about your journey of being a Christian witch and whatnot, and what that means for you.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, thank you for being on With You Wednesday, family.
Thank you.
That's it. It's a wrap. Love you. Wow. Peace. ChristianWitches.com. That's it.